One thing that makes the Bible difficult is that it is a difficult book to read because it contains two kinds of truth. One is literal truth, and the other is historical. Literal truth, that is a historical truth. They are facts that we can prove because of historical documents that we have found, such as the fact that Jesus was crucified, and beside him on each side were two thieves. Historical fact. And then we have poetic truth, the metaphorical truth, such as the image of Jesus returning on a cloud. We cannot prove that this is actual factual information. If we are not to be misled by misreading Scripture, we have to understand and be clear about which kind of truth we are reading about. In today's gospel, Nicodemus failed to make the distinction between factual truth and poetic. When Jesus said, "Everyone must be born anew," everyone must be born again, Nicodemus failed to see the poetry in interpreting these words in a literal sense. It seems absurd to even consider that someone could think that an adult or a child or even an infant could emerge from the mother's womb a second time. What is this that's happening? We insist on interpreting the Bible literally, every single word. This will happen at every point. What Jesus meant was something much more profound. It is so profound that ordinary language could not describe it. So Jesus chose the image of rebirth. Faith must know how to appreciate the poetic and the metaphorical. Jesus will not return on a cloud, such as we see in the air today, but he will return in a way no language can actually or really, truly describe. Rebirth is an experience that cannot be easily described, but the image of new birth is a good one. It means a new beginning, a restart, a starting over, a coming to life in a new and profound way. Only as we are born, only as we are reborn, will we begin to see things differently. See things like we've never saw them before, and understand them in ways we never considered. Our faith tells us to not only about this rebirth that can happen, it also tells us that it must happen. John 3:16 is often described as the gospel in a nutshell. John 3:16 is often the one confirmation kids want as their verse to memorize because they've already seen and heard it, because it is quoted so many times. And JW got it this year. Last year, I guess. It was a year ago. It says it all. It tells about God's love for us, that it is so deep and so far-reaching that absolutely nothing can diminish it. We may diminish God's pleasure in us, but we can never, ever diminish God's love. God express that love in the most ultimate way. Even as Abraham had once expressed his love for God by the willingness to give up his son. A thought many of us find unfathomable: to give up one of our children for what might be forever. Jesus' death appeared to be an ordinary execution. He was executed with two men on either side in the same way, hung on a torture device called the cross. And yet, in that crucifixion, the community of faith was able to see something extraordinary. Namely, the evidence of the depth of God's love for the human family. It was as if God had made a sacrificial offering of the divine self, the Lamb of God, in order to bridge the gap between God and humankind and bring about reconciliation. That is love to the most highest degree. And then finally, the verse says that we all who absorb this understanding of the crucifixion will be so lifted up by God's knowledge and unstoppable love that they will be saved from whatever might have limited, burdened, and defeated them before. In other words, the knowledge of God's love liberates us to love ourselves properly, to love others even sacrificially. We are saved from self-recrimination, saved from letting that spill over into unloving behaviors to others. We are saved from being excluded from the kingdom of heaven, the very nature of which is love. Thus, we are saved from perishing. For that has never been God's intention. Rather, we are meant to cherish and enjoy and use God's love to the fullest. During this Lenten season, may you be reminded of your rebirth and the love that God has poured upon each and every one of you. And may that love spill over as you encounter others in your daily lives. Amen. And now, as a giving and forgiving people, let us share in our gifts, tithes, and offerings.